Hi, folks. Welcome to today's AI briefing. My name is Tom. Welcome to the podcast if you're new to it. This is a podcast where we go through some short snippets on a daily basis of AI news and information to try and help cut through the chatter to make your lives easier. Today, we're going to talk about Sam Altman's code red warning that he issued internally just recently to the staff at OpenAI. Now, Google did this a few months ago, more than a few months ago, a year or so ago, where they talked about being behind the eight ball when it comes to competing with OpenAI and the stuff that they were releasing at the time. And so, if you remember back, the first releases of Google's Gemini platform were definitely questionable. And the stuff that was coming out was both wrong, could be skewed to do things that were malicious. And the guardrails were not great, nor were the responses that you got, even when you did get a sensible response. And so they've obviously put a lot of work into it. And Sam Altman now sees this as being a perilous time for OpenAI as an organization and something that they need to work on to try and resolve so they can get back doing what they want to do, which is obviously building a business. Of course, the problem that OpenAI have is the fact that they do not turn a profit. They're not even close to turning a profit. And so when they're working with the competing against the larger organizations, the Googles of this world, who do turn a profit because they've got a vast business that does, cloud hosting, online search, advertising, the way that Google operates allows them to dabble in AI and figure some stuff out over time. OpenAI, on the other hand, has had massive investment from the likes of NVIDIA and Microsoft and all the other, investors over the course of their lifetime. And they're in a much more dire situation if someone like Google comes along and just becomes the de facto standard for OpenAI usage, for AI usage, not OpenAI usage. But that is a problem for Sam Altman because, of course, he wants to be able to invest in other things. He wants to be able to bring advertising into the platform. He wants to build out this browser and start collecting information about the people who are using his services more than they already do, harvesting all the stuff. And so Sam's in a bit of a bind here because he needs to improve what OpenAI currently does to allow for, a better product and more stuff that users can do with OpenAI without investing too much time into other services and things that he wants to be able to onboard to monetize his platform more effectively. And that puts him in a sticky situation. So he sent out an email just recently to his staff explaining all of this and how they need to really double down and focus on GPT 5.2, which is due out next, and really ensure that what they release at that point is as good, preferably better than Google, because it's easier when you're a Google and you've got all these phones, all these one-click sign-on links to be able to get your product in front of people than it is in your OpenAI user. So, you've seen online Google's nano images, nano banana. Everyone's showing how super realistic these images are. This is certainly something that has got OpenAI on their back heels and problem for them in terms of being able to allow people to leverage it, because Google will let you leverage it in a bunch of different ways, not just through the Gemini chat, certainly over time. And so OpenAI have to be able to compete with this to be able to stay, on par with Google, who they see as their biggest rival in the sort of generic AI space at the moment. And so that is a problem for them. And that's something they need to solve. But again, if you're starting to leverage OpenAI, I'm not suggesting that they're suddenly just going to disappear off the radar, but it is something to recognize the fact that you've got these companies, an awful lot of AI startups, regardless of how many billions of dollars they've been invested in. And apparently they're too big to fail because they're going to the US government to ensure that they get bailed out if stuff goes wrong. But this is the point. Stuff can go wrong. They may not get, a fully functioning AGI setup. And at some point, whilst the bubble may not burst in the traditional sense, the amount of organizations out there supporting and providing AI services will shrink. And obviously, OpenAI want to be part of that, but it's something to be aware of as we get further into this AI ecosystem during the rest of 2026 and further beyond. There we go. There's a little bit of insight into what's going on inside of OpenAI. If you have thoughts, comments, questions, stick them below. If not, I will see you tomorrow for the next AI briefing. Bye for now.